Oh, hell no!
Dolly Porcel was a Midwestern farm girl who came from a family who didn't have much. By the time she was 20, she married Fred Osterreich, a wealthy textile factory owner. They took up residence in a Milwaukee mansion. However, despite their well-off status, the Osterreichs were far from a happy couple. Dolly later claimed that Fred was a drunk and that their sex life was far from satisfying. It wasn't long after their marriage that Dolly's eyes began drifting towards other men. Then one day in 1913, Dolly found a solution to her longing. 33-year-old Dolly asked her husband one morning if he could please send one of his workers over to make some house repairs and fix her broken sewing machine. So Fred sent over 17-year-old Otto Sandhuber. When Otto arrived and went into the house, he was warmly greeted by Dolly. The sewing machine probably didn't get fixed that day. However, a long love affair began. At first, Dolly and Otto carried out their affair at a local hotel. This worked fine, but eventually Dolly was emboldened enough to continue the tryst in her own marital bed. It didn't take long for the neighbors' suspicions about Dolly's frequent daytime guests to grow. But of course Dolly had a solution to the neighbors' prying eyes. Her solution was to have Otto quit his job and move into her attic. But the arrangement came with one major flaw. Otto would have to remain in the attic at all times and would never be able to leave the house. As it turned out, Otto, being a young man at the time, would lose out on some very important integral social skills that would become quite apparent later on. With Dolly being his sole companion, Otto remained up in the attic for many years. He was always a willing sex slave for the woman he said later that he loved as a boy loves his own mother. From his secret, sparsely furnished accommodations, Otto became obsessed with the novels that Dolly would bring him from the library to read. He was eventually compelled to write his own, and even had a few published under a pen name. As this sordid relationship carried on, husband Fred became increasingly suspicious, or thought that he might be going insane. He complained to his wife that he was hearing noises from the attic. He also thought he was seeing strange shadows passing through the hallway at night. And he knew his cigarettes and cigars had gone missing. But he had no idea of the hidden seduction and world that went on right above his head, or that the young laborer he hired on his house years ago had never left. In 1918, Fred and Dolly moved to Los Angeles, with Otto following close behind. The family located and moved into a new mansion, complete with an attic, which was one of Dolly's stipulations for the move. While in Los Angeles, Fred's drinking increased and he became more violent. On August 22, 1922, the couple had their worst fight ever. The fight grew increasingly physical, and Otto believed that Fred may have been close to killing Dolly from what he heard. Otto flew down from his attic sanctuary and approached the couple engaged in a scuffle. Otto grabbed Fred's rifle, aimed it through the door, and shot Fred, killing him. After the smoke cleared, Dolly and Otto came up with a plan to make Fred's death look like a robbery gone wrong. Otto took Fred's custom diamond watch, along with a few other pieces of jewelry. He then locked Dolly up in the closet and escaped back up to his attic. According to plan, Dolly began to scream from the closet until a neighbor heard her and called the police. When the police arrived, the scene looked just as Dolly and Otto had planned. Fred's murder was believed to be the result of a robbery gone wrong. Afterwards, Dolly inherited Fred's fortune. She bought a new house with an attic, and Dolly and Otto tried to live a normal life together as lovers. Otto still preferred to spend most of his time up in the attic alone, and this fire was burning out. With Otto holed up again, Dolly began dating her lawyer, Herman Shapiro. She also began making some very critical mistakes. Mr. Shapiro was gifted a fine quality watch by his lover Dolly. When questioned about this, she claimed that she had found it under a couch cushion following the untimely demise of her murdered husband. Dolly also took on a third lover at this time, by the name of Roy Klum. She enlisted Klum to dump the murder weapon for her in the La Brea tar pits. After breaking up with Klum in 1923, the police found out about Frank's watch and the disposal of the murder weapon. Dolly was finally arrested, but the police couldn't hold her for very long because they still couldn't explain how she locked herself in the closet. Then Dolly made an even bigger mistake. While under arrest, she asked Shapiro to take some food to her derelict half-brother who was living in her attic. Otto, overwhelmed by the prospect of speaking to another man for the first time in years, began singing like a canary and happily divulged his entire story to Shapiro. Upon hearing his unbelievable tale, Shapiro demanded that Otto leave the attic immediately. Terrified, Otto ran away to Canada. In 1930, Shapiro and Dolly ended their relationship. Coincidentally, Otto had just moved back to Los Angeles. Shapiro told the police about Otto, and the police promptly arrested both him and Dolly for murder. At trial, Otto was found guilty of manslaughter. However, the statute of limitations had already run out on that conviction, so the charges were dropped. Dolly was acquitted. She found a new lover, whom she married and remained with up until her death in 1961. Otto left Los Angeles and eventually vanished into obscurity. The press dubbed him the Batman of Los Angeles. The comic book had not yet been published. Although he viewed himself as a victim of love, the papers had no problem labeling him as a sexual deviant. Otto's life after Dolly remains a complete mystery. His 6 brothers and sisters all apparently lived out the remainder of their days in Milwaukee, but whether or not Otto rejoined them still remains unknown.